This is your better shopping channel, STN, the Shop Television Network. This half hour, in Design for Living, we visit the Celebrity Corner starring Mel Torme. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here is your host, Steve Edwards.
Thank you very much, Bob Braun. Indeed, you recognize the voice. The man has been called the Velvet Fog for many, many years. Many, 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 many years. He's been called the Velvet Fog. So many years.
Many years.
And people don't know this, but that appellation, which really has been with you since you were 21 years of age, is not one you ever liked.
No, I didn't like it, Steve. And as a matter of fact, at one point, it did fit the way I sang. But if you listen to that cut, which is from my new album, you hear the timbre of my voice, if that's the right word. Mm-hmm. It's totally different. It just, calling me the Velvet Fog now just doesn't work. It doesn't fit what I do.
But you know what? It is how people think of you. So you got to accept it at some point. You can't get away from it.
I do.
You don't have to. I guess we have to. You have really done it all. I mean, it's a cliche to say that about someone, and usually it's not true. But in terms of the world of music, in terms of the world of performance, I can't think of the things you haven't done yet. Are there dreams for you yet to fulfill?
There's one project going forward now for, fasten your seatbelt, for May of 1990. And that's for me to do what they call a one-man Broadway show. Now, I don't believe in one-man shows. It's never a one-man show. There'll be some people helping. But right now, that's going forward, and it looks like it's going to happen.
And you're looking forward to that?
Yeah,
It's a challenge.
Well, it's the only arena in which I've never appeared. I've done movies, television, concert stage, nightclubs, of course, hotel rooms, but never, ever Broadway. And so that's something I'm looking forward to.
Would that make you nervous? Are there challenges that can make you nervous and anxious?
Gee, you know, not really. I mean, I'd love to make it a better story by saying, yeah, I get out there and I get the butterflies, but the truth of the matter is that I've been singing since I was a baby, since I was 4 years old, professionally. And because of that, I honestly do feel that when I walk on a stage, I'm home. It's where I belong, hopefully.
And in some ways, you know, your good buddy is Larry King, who probably says more positive things about you than you could even wish for yourself.
Yeah, he's been very kind.
And he said something about his life. He said, the reason he likes to work so much and work so hard is that when he is working, he's in his element, he's in control. He said, I really can't be in control of the rest of my life. I really can't be in control of the world. I can't be in control of my children. I can't be in control of my friends. But when I'm on the air, I'm in control. When you're on stage, do you feel that way?
Absolutely. Now, you know, there is that ephemeral thing called the audience. And mostly they're very controllable because they're there to be entertained. Occasionally you run into that situation where they're a little bit out of control, and that's good for you. Puts you on your mettle, makes you work. You know?
It Wasn't All Velvet is the name of your book. I hope we get a chance to touch on a lot of things that are in the book. Obviously, we can hit maybe the tip of the iceberg. The name, Mel Torme, from the famous French family, the Tormes.
Oh, no. Not the French family, no. My parents were from Russia. They came from Russia. And the name was Torma. And when my dad got to Ellis Island, he had one of those tags pinned on him. We've seen that so many times. And some guy at Ellis Island, some inspector, walked over and looked at it and said, hey, what is that? Is that an E or an A? Hey, George, come here. And they couldn't determine whether it was an E or an A, and they decided it was an E. So when my dad got off the boat from Ellis Island into the New World, the name of the family was Torme. And it stayed Torme until probably I was about 14 or 15, and I was in radio and doing vaudeville shows and things like that. And they just added the accent.
You were Melvin Torme.
Melvin Howard Torme.
Melvin Howard Torme. You had, what was it, your aunt who made the name change? Who put the...
I think, you know, I've forgotten. I think it might have been my mother, my aunt. Somebody added the accent aigu over the E to kind of soften the sound of the name.
Now, was that okay with you, going from Torme to Torme?
Oh, you bet it. Now the whole family's known as Torme. Yeah.
Which leads us to a story. And you know, everything you can say will lead us to a story about you. You got started very, very young. You became successful early on. You were so successful as still a brash young teenager, appearing in one fairly famous aggregation. You said, I want billing. I want my name up there. I want billing. Can you tell us about that one?
Well, I was a rapid 17 years old. What did I know from billing? Well, as a matter of fact, I did know a little about billing because I'd been in the business for so long.
You've been doing radio drama in
Radio
Chicago?
drama, exactly, exactly. I was with the Chico Marx Band. You know the Marx brother that used to go ring, bing. And
let me hasten to add, that sounds like a novelty band. It actually was a very good band.
A great swing band. I mean, a really good swing band. And what happened? There I am with Chico Marx and the Ravellis. Now, that was a vocal group that I put together in the band, and I wrote for it. That's one of the reasons they hired me in the first place.
And might I also say, so I can keep you fairly humble here, I'll say it for you. You were 16 years old.
That's right.
When it began. They assigned you to these adult professionals. You were to put together the group. You were to do the arrangements. You were to show them how to sing. Pretty heady stuff for a high school kid.
Pretty heady, and I must say, really rather unrealistic. It was very difficult for me. But getting back to the billing thing, I started asking for billing. I said, gee, all those little girls are out in front, and you're featuring me, but I'm not getting any billing. How about some billing, Chico? And he looked at me very wisely and said, you want billing, huh, kid? Well, we played the Stanley Theater in Pittsburgh for 6 days, and on the 7th day, because of the blue laws, the Pennsylvania blue laws, you couldn't work in Pennsylvania. So we crossed the Ohio River and went over to Steubenville, Ohio, to play a one-day Sunday date at a little theater in Steubenville. As you approached the theater, you approached it from the side, and there was nothing but vacant land all around. It was like in the middle of nowhere in the Tules. And as we approached the theater, as they did every Sunday, they painted the whole side of the theater with the Sunday attraction. And it said, one day only, Sunday, whatever the month was, Chico Marx and his orchestra featuring Kim Kimberly, Skip Nelson, whatever, and vocalist, and then in letters, 4 times the size of anybody else's, including Chico's, vocalist Mel Torme. Now, they used to call me Junior in the band.
Why did they call you Junior?
Well, because I was so young.
And what else? You know. What else about you? Why did they call you Junior?
Well, actually, I think that was basic. Oh, they called me Junior also because I got a lot of ribbing about my virginal status at the time. You know, I was still a virgin.
And you also wouldn't partake of some of the other
that's right.
activities that the band would.
Well, you know, in those days, bands, it's no secret, of course. Now unfortunately, we have what's known as a drug culture. There was no drug culture in those days, but some of the band, not all of them, but some of the members of the band smoked what they called grass. Nobody ever called it pot in those days.
Reefer.
Reefer, pot, tea, you know, whatever you want to call it. I didn't like it, and I had no interest in it. And the less interest I had, the more they started goading me with that nickname, Until Mel Torme. And from that time until the day the band broke up in July of 1943, I was always called Torme. And as a matter of fact, Chico Marx would come out on the stage of several theaters and say, and now here we have a wonderful singer, Mel Torme. Chico, Torme. But in a sense, it was very good for me. It taught me a good lesson. That you shouldn't have to demand billing. When the time comes, when you are due for billing, when you deserve billing, you'll get it automatically without having to ask for it.